We tend to view our interactions with children, whether you're a parent, a teacher, or just that involved uncle who drops by, as these fleeting sort of ephemeral moments. You say something, they react, and then it's gone.
It just dissolves into the ether, right? But what if it's not like that at all?
What if I told you that you aren't just chatting? You are literally engaged in construction work.
It's a powerful image to start with, isn't it? We aren't just passing time or managing behavior. We're engaging in what scientists are now calling neural architecture.
Neural architecture.
Sounds so intense. Like we should be wearing hard hats and looking at blueprints, but that is exactly what we are unpacking today. We've got a fascinating stack of research to get into. We're focusing on two key sources: neural architecture of calm, the self-regulation blueprint, and neural architecture, the science of calm communication. And before you hit pause thinking, oh great, another lecture on being polite to toddlers, what's the actual mission here? The mission is really to look under the hood. This isn't about manners or etiquette. It's about the hard biological science of how calm communication physically wires a developing brain. We're talking hardware, not just software. The actual cables being laid down in the skull.
And the stakes are just incredibly high because of the sheer velocity of that construction. I was looking at the stats in the first source, and they're honestly staggering. I think most people know kids grow fast, but the brain, specifically, it doubles in size by the time a child is 1.
It's wild, isn't it? And by age 3, it's already reached 80% of its adult size.
80%.
And by age 5, it's at 90%. So
Right.
in those first few years, the physical structure is being built at a pace that will never, ever happen again in that person's life. It's a biological sprint.
So while we're just trying to get them to put their shoes on, and usually failing,
And running late.
always running late, their brains are frantically laying down the foundation for the rest of their lives. It puts a lot of pressure on those shoe-tying moments.
Precisely. And the way we communicate during that struggle acts as the blueprint for how that growth organizes itself. If you think of the brain as a house being built, genetics are the materials, right? The lumber and the bricks. But our interaction with them, that's the architectural plan. It tells the builders where to put the walls.
Okay, so let's unpack this construction zone idea, because the sources describe this early period, 0 to 3, as an explosion of activity. What is actually happening in there?
Well, explosion isn't hyperbole. In the biological context, we're talking about synapses, the connections between brain cells. In that 0 to 3 age range, these neural connections triple. The brain is just over-connecting everything.
So it's not being selective yet. It's just grabbing everything it can.
Exactly. It's like throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks, but on a massive, massive scale.
Mhm.
The brain creates this huge surplus of connections because it doesn't know yet what skills it will need.
Right. It could be Mandarin or coding or hunting in a jungle.
It connects everything just in case. So this period is all about quantity, pure quantity. The sources say synapse formation peaks between 2 and 5. But then, and this is the crucial part we often misunderstand, later in adolescence, the brain goes through pruning.
Pruning, okay, like a rose bush.
Exactly like a rosebush. Or think of it like city planning. First, you build roads everywhere, to every single house. But then the city planner looks at the traffic data. Which roads are being used constantly? Keep those. Which roads are empty? Let's get rid of them. It saves on maintenance.
So the brain cuts away the unused connections to make the whole system more efficient.
That's it. It's a use it or lose it system. But first, you need that wild, explosive growth to even have something to prune.
So first we build the jungle, then we cut the trails. But there's another term in the research that I found really fascinating. Myelination. It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It kind of is. It's like a shield, or maybe more accurately, insulation. Myelination is the process where a fatty substance, white matter, coats the neural pathways. Think of insulating an electrical wire.
Okay, so let's stick with that analogy. What happens if a wire isn't insulated?
Well, with a raw copper wire, the signal leaks. It moves slowly. It might short out. But if you wrap that wire in thick rubber, the signal just zips from point A to point B instantly. That is what myelin does for the brain.
So a baby's brain is like a bunch of raw copper wires, and an adult brain is more like a high-speed fiber optic cable.
That's a great way to put it. And here's where it gets really interesting for behavior. This insulation process, it doesn't happen all at once. It's hierarchical. It starts with sensory motor areas, moving hands, seeing, hearing. That's why a baby learns to grab your finger so fast. But the higher order areas, the parts for logic and control, those get insulated last.
And that leads right to the big gap that the sources highlight. You've got this brain that's growing physically huge, super fast, but the control center is lagging way behind.
It is the fundamental mismatch of childhood. The prefrontal cortex, that's the CEO of the brain, right? The part for impulse control, planning, and saying, maybe I shouldn't throw this toy at the cat.
The very important part.
That is the very last area to mature.
And when you say last, we aren't talking about age 5 or 6. The timeline here was shocking to me.
Not even close. The research indicates that the prefrontal cortex keeps developing well into adolescence. In fact, one of the sources points out that efficiency in this area might not even peak until around age 32.
Age 32. I mean, I know some 32-year-olds who are still working on it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But this explains so much.
It really does. It explains why children literally cannot just calm down on command. They're building the hardware while they're trying to use it. It's like trying to run, I don't know, Photoshop on a computer that's still being soldered together.
That completely changes how you see a tantrum, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not defiance. It's a hardware limitation. They're pushing the calm down button, but the wire isn't insulated yet. The signal isn't arriving.
Exactly. And that helps us move from anger to empathy. But I want to connect this back to communication. If the brain is this chaotic construction site, how does an adult's voice actually influence the wiring?
Right, because we are the architects in this whole process.
And this is where we get into the idea of serve and return.
So it sounds like a tennis match.
That's the metaphor Harvard uses, and it's perfect. The research shows it's not about just talking at a child. You can play educational audiobooks all day, and it just won't have the same effect. It's the back and forth. A child babbles or points, that's the serve, and the adult responds. That return is what strengthens the neural connection.
So it's the interaction, the responsiveness that actually matters.
It's a vital distinction. The sources note that these conversational turns are far more impactful than just the sheer volume of words. You're validating their attempt to communicate. You're telling their brain, hey, your signal was received.
And the sources get specific about which parts of the brain light up during this tennis match.
Oh yeah, it's targeted. Calm responsive talk activates two key areas: Broca's area for speech and language production, and the supramarginal gyrus, which handles sound processing.
Supramarginal gyrus. I love that name.
Uh-huh.
Sounds like a planet in a sci-fi novel.
It's a very important planet. It helps us understand the nuance of sound. But the connection goes deeper than just language. This back and forth strengthens the physical link between the prefrontal cortex, our CEO, and the amygdala.
The amygdala, that's the emotional alarm bell, right? The fight or flight center.
Correct. It's the ancient emotional part of the brain. It detects threats. In a well-wired brain, the prefrontal cortex can talk to the amygdala and say, hey, it's okay, it's just a loud noise, not a tiger.
But that connection has to be built first.
And we build it through talk. Every time you do that calm serve and return, you are thickening that cable between the two. You're building the brake pedal for their emotions.
Wow. So we are literally wiring their ability to handle stress later in life. It's not just about making them feel better in the moment.
You're installing the infrastructure for resilience. The stats back it up, too. These interactions can boost IQ equivalence by months. But more importantly, they build the capacity for self-regulation.
Okay, so knowing this is a long-term project, the sources actually provide a kind of roadmap by age. This seems super helpful.
Yeah, you need different architectural plans depending on the phase of the build.
Let's start with the foundation phase, 0 to 3 years. What's the main focus?
Right, 0-3. So synapses are exploding, gray matter surges over 100%. But the key thing here is the amygdala, that emotional center, is highly sensitive. It's raw.
So everything feels like a huge deal to them because biologically it is a huge deal.
Exactly. The need here is for responsive talk to build what the sources call safety circuits. When they cry and you respond calmly, their brain learns, I am safe, distress is temporary, you're calibrating their alarm system.
Got it. Okay, moving up. 4 to 7 years, the expansion phase.
Here, the prefrontal cortex starts growing faster, and that myelination, the insulation, is ramping up. So you see a language explosion.
And this is where emotional regulation starts to actually emerge, right?
It begins to, yes. But they need help with it. The source suggests at this age, clear, calm cues help teach prediction. Their brain is looking for patterns. If X happens, then Y happens.
And then we hit 8 years plus into adolescence,
Wow.
the refinement stage.
Now, concrete logic is strengthening. Executive function planning, organizing is refining. The need here is consistent responses to wire self-control. Systematic problem solving starts to improve.
So it's a progression from make me feel safe to help me understand the pattern, to help me manage myself.
That's a perfect summary of it.
But, and this is the giant but, that the sources slam onto the table. None of this works if the adult is a mess.
This is the absolute crux of it. One source explicitly states, self-regulation isn't optional, it's the bridge.
That line hit me hard. Self-regulation isn't optional because, let's be honest, it is so hard to stay calm when a child is screaming. It triggers our own amygdala.
It's incredibly hard. It is a biological challenge. But the core rule that the biology dictates is simple. A dysregulated adult can't calm a dysregulated child.
Why is that? Why can't I just yell, calm down,
Yeah.
and have it work? I mean, I know it doesn't, but what's the science?
It's the biology of escalation. When an adult yells, they release stress hormones. Humans have mirror neurons. We automatically pick up on the emotional states of others. Yes. They fire both when we act and when we see someone else act. It's why you flinch when you see someone else stub their toe. In this context, if the parent is stressed, the child's amygdala picks up on that threat instantly. It floods their brain with cortisol.
So instead of helping them build that bridge, we're just smashing the alarm button even harder.
Exactly. You are blocking the lesson. When the brain is flooded with stress, the learning centers shut down. You can't teach a lesson to a brain in fight or flight mode.
There was a Yale study mentioned that I found really encouraging, though. It suggests there's a positive cumulative effect.
Right. The reviews showed that parental calm consistency literally sculpts calmer brain responses in the child over time. It's not just about managing the moment. You are training their brain to return to baseline faster. You are passing on your calm directly into their neural wiring.
That is a heavy responsibility, but also kind of empowering. It means our chill is literally contagious.
Long-term contagious, yes.
Okay, so let's get practical. The sources give us a toolkit for this. Because knowing why we should be calm is very different from actually doing it at 6:00 p.m. when everyone's hungry.
Very different. Theory's great. 6:00 p.m. is reality.
Step 1 in the toolkit is regulate first. This seems counterintuitive. You want to fix the kid's behavior immediately.
Of course. But before you address the behavior, you have to address your own biology. The source suggests a few quick things. First, breathe. Count to 5. It sounds cliche, but it physically resets your nervous system. You have to put your own oxygen mask on first.
And then,
Name the emotion. Just say, I'm frustrated.
out loud to the kid.
Yes. It does two things. One, it models emotional intelligence for the child. They see you feeling something and managing it. Two, studies show that just naming an emotion actually reduces the activity in the amygdala. It engages your prefrontal cortex.
So by saying, I am frustrated, I'm literally turning my own logic brain back on.
You're bridging your own gap. You move from reaction to response. Then and only then do you choose your words.
Okay, so I've breathed. I've admitted I'm annoyed. Now what about the kid who just drew on the wall? The expert source outlines the clear, kind consequence ladder. I do love a good framework.
This is a great tool to replace shame with structure. It has 3 rungs: warning, practice, and loss of privilege.
Okay, walk us through it. Let's say a child is throwing a toy.
So, rung 1, warning. You state what is happening and what will happen next. If you throw the toy again, you will lose it. It's predictive. It's a statement of fact, not a threat.
Okay, run 2, practice. This one is interesting. I feel like most of us skip this and jump straight from warning to punishment.
We do, but it's vital for that wiring we talked about. You give them a chance to do it right. You say, let's practice putting the toy down gently. You are building the motor skill and the neural pathway for the correct behavior. You're not just saying, stop that. You're showing them do this.
That makes so much sense. We tell them what not to do, but we rarely help them practice what to do.
Exactly. It's like coaching a sport. You don't just yell when they miss. You drill the right move.
And finally, rung 3, loss of privilege.
If the behavior continues after the warning and the practice, the consequence happens. But, and this is key, it happens calmly. No yelling, no I told you so, just the predicted outcome. You threw the toy, so now the toy goes away for 10 minutes.
Why is that structure so important for the brain? Why not just grab the toy immediately?
Because the brain craves predictability, especially in an emotional storm. When a child is dysregulated, the world feels chaotic. A clear, consistent ladder makes boundaries feel safe, not scary. They know what to expect.
It's like the guardrails on the highway. You might bump them, but they keep you from going off a cliff.
Exactly. And the predictability of that ladder is what teaches the brain to self-soothe. They learn that actions have consequences, but those consequences don't involve the adult turning into a monster.
So it separates the behavior from the relationship. The toy is gone, but you are still safe.
It always circles back to safety. Safety is the soil that all learning grows in.
So step 3 in the toolkit is simply that, predictability. Doing it the same way over and over again.
which can be boring for us. We want variety. But for a developing brain, repetition is security.
It's like how kids want to read the same book 500 times.
Exactly. They love it because they know what's coming next. That prediction reduces anxiety. The same applies here.
Okay, let's zoom out. We've covered a lot, from the synapse explosion and pruning to serve and return and this consequence ladder.
And the central theme binding it all is that every interaction is an architectural choice. We are helping build that bridge between the wild amygdala and the rational prefrontal cortex.
And for me, the biggest takeaway is the timeline. I cannot get over the fact that prefrontal cortex doesn't finish its efficiency changes until age 32.
It really reframes our expectations, doesn't it? We expect adult-level emotional control from a brain that is literally still under construction.
It means patience isn't just a virtue, it's scientifically required. We're expecting software updates on hardware that isn't even fully installed yet.
That is the reality. And understanding that gap helps us move from judgment, why are they doing this to me, to curiosity, how can I help them build this skill?
It changes the job description, from disciplinarian to chief neural architect.
I like that title. It feels much more proactive. It reminds us we're building something permanent.
So I want to leave everyone with a final thought to chew on, something that really stood out from the reading. If our words and our tone act as the wiring for a child's future ability to handle stress, are we wiring them for anxiety or are we wiring them for resilience?
That's the ultimate question. Every tone of voice is a wire being laid.
Because the sources suggest the most powerful tool we have isn't what we teach them to do. It's how we behave when things go wrong.
Absolutely. The calm you model today becomes their inner voice tomorrow.
That's it for this deep dive. Go build some bridges. Thanks for listening.